Wow. It really was incredible out there. Myself and Gareth Davies out there all week. We're going to be out there again for 5 versus 5 next week as well. The big time boxing just keeps on coming at the moment. Let's welcome in Gareth Davies. Gareth, what an incredible night of boxing. Something special, something, and you said this to me, I think, during fight week. We're going to remember this for a very, very long time. And we were part of it, Gareth.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed my time. I haven't left the Middle East yet. I'm in Abu Dhabi. I've just come over the border, if you like, and I'm going back like you in a few days' time. I'm out here presenting Rising Stars Arabia that's on DAZN at the weekend. Al Darat against Moscow at the Space 42 Arena here in Abu Dhabi. Lots of rising stars in Arabia. Basically, very important that this region does have its own stars because what we found last week is that there is a growing interest in boxing here. And like you say, it was an unforgettable week. The drama and the pageantry grew and grew through the week. You're not asking me what I've been doing in the last week because we were together, but I tell you what I did do today, and I've sent you and our producer Jeremy a picture over. I've been paddleboarding today, and I'm telling you, I needed the sleep. I needed the rest. It's not about me at all, but I was working till 10 a.m. on the Sunday morning, couple more hours sleep, then back to fill it your way through it because it was a very, very, very dramatic week and night, which we'll pick the bones over, but a fight befitting an undisputed title in the heavyweight division for the first time in 25 years, Addy. And there's an awful lot to talk about, a lot of fallout. And as we heard there from those many wonderful voices, Froch, Bellew, Deck Taylor, Spencer Oliver and others, there's an enormous amount of fallout that needs discussing. And will we see Fury in the ring again with Alexander Usyk?
Yeah, I mean, you've always said that this show should really be 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. Maybe this is the one that needed it, right? There is a lot to unpack. I want to talk about something outside of the main event, outside the actual fight card, and that's the fans. There has been this critique. I don't agree with it, but there's been a critique about atmospheres and fans not traveling. The fans turned up, and they turned up early. I mean, they were there all fight week, and then it started to swell. And come sort of press conference and weigh-in, I mean, they were there in Boulevard Cities. You obviously saw, Gareth, in their thousands.
Well, I think we were signing caps for the young traveller boys, weren't we, at one point?
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yes.
You know, the crescendo of the week was definitely there. I mean, I remember chatting to you. We got thumbs up. Sometimes we see each other in your little DAZN studio. I'm running around everywhere. I had goosebumps all week. And like you say, the Friday weigh-in, I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but the atmosphere that was created in the weigh-in, at the weigh-in, by the travelling fans just reminded me about Ricky Hatton and Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, didn't travel in their numbers to that extent, but they'll never forget that noise in Saudi Arabia.
Never.
And it was good-natured, and there was a lot of banter, and Tyson Fury supporters, many of them travellers, had brought their children, so we had children there. No, it was amazing. It was an amazing week, and it will forever live in the memory as an amazing event, an amazing fight. And even, you know, I'll never forget Alexander Usyk finally coming into the press conference at 4 a.m. after an MRI scan on his head because he thought he was having a lot of pain through his jaw. And he finally came in, and I think, like I say, there were media buses back for a lot of us working to the Hilton. I think we got back there at about 6 a.m. So it's one of those nights you'll never forget.
No, you certainly won't. Let's get to the fight. I want to go, if you like, start from back to front, and immediately hit the scorecards. Obviously, look, you heard Tyson Fury in the immediate aftermath. And I've always said this to people, and hopefully I'm going to say it now so to the people listening to the podcast or watching. Like, it's very difficult to take what fighters say in the immediate aftermath of a fight seriously, not because they're chatting rubbish, but because most of the time they're concussed, the adrenaline's running, they're tired, they're upset, they're angry, they're disappointed. And a lot of people have sort of jumped on Tyson Fury's words about, that he only won it because of what's going on in Ukraine and Happy New Year and all that nonsense. I'm like, look, he's tired. He's been punched from pillar to post for the last 4 or 5 rounds. Like, take what he says at the post-fight press conference as gospel, which was completely different, rather than in the immediate aftermath. But away from all that, how did you score the fight?
Can I comment on that as well?
Go ahead. Sorry, go on. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. But what I want, I mean, it's a comment he shouldn't have made, but he did make it. So that's what the mainstream media do. They jump on that. I wrote about it myself, but I also wrote that he redressed that and addressed that at the press conference.
That's good.
He also, a couple of seconds later or earlier, said to Usyk, "You're so welcome in my home.
Yeah.
I want to have a holiday with your family. I respect you. Well done." And that was after the result was read out as well. And he also said at the press conference, "I thought I might have won, but I'm not one of the judges. The judges score it themselves. I was actually really enjoying myself in there. Maybe a little bit too much, but like you say, it's about a balance of coverage." And I think, and this is going to happen a lot in this discussion, when so many people watch a big event and they aren't around the sport all the time like we are. And I do think we're very fair in the way we look at it. You and I step back. I always step back and have a look. It's not the only world I inhabit. You know, I'm aware that we're on, I don't want to go too deep here, but that we're on the planet and we need to take a step back from what we're looking at. But again, like you, I had Alexander Usyk winning. I couldn't give you my score at the end because I was doing a live blog for the Telegraph and I was just sending my score round by rounds. I had it 114, 113 to Usyk. I've said since I think he was the rightful winner, but it was a very close fight in spite of the eye test of that 9th round, in spite of the fact that Alexander Usyk exerted a lot of control. Now, in the 6th round, Eddie, along the press row, some people thought Fury was beginning to tire in the 7th, but at the end of the 6th, when he was popping Usyk at will from range, there were people thinking he might well stop Usyk here.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to Chris Mannix, and obviously, look, Chris Mannix had picked Usyk from the start, and he's a big Alexander Usyk fan. And at the end of that 6, I was like, Tyson Fury's going to stop him. It just felt like he rocked him with an uppercut. He rocked Usyk with an uppercut. And then what he didn't do was jump on him, which I understand why it'd be a bit, hesitant to do it. But I almost felt like there was a chance for Fury to maybe go up another gear. I don't know if he had it. I don't know. Because Usyk was putting a lot of pressure on him, and you could see Fury was getting a bit tired. But I felt like Fury had him. And I think I had it at the end of 6th, I think I had it 4-2 Fury. Maybe 5-1.
I had it 5-1. I had it 5-1 at the time. I gave Usyk the first one. I've got my scorecard here. Then I go Fury the next 5. And this is just how we score. We got one position we sit in. And I did note that a lot of people saw it on TV very differently, which always happens. But for me, and this, I wrote a column about this as well, Fury's mystique and part of his smokescreens is his showboating, is his showmanship and his gamesmanship. And there's an expression in boxing about getting too greedy, and he almost got too greedy. And Usyk still squeezing the space, looking for 3 hands, notably that left cross and that left hook, which was so effective in this fight, and always pressing the space and using his footwork, and Fury circling the ring. But it was a fast-paced event, made fast from the opening round by Usyk's intent to press the space on Fury. We always said in the build-up, at some point, Fury would need to put it on Usyk, and he did in those maybe 4, 5, 6, or certainly 5 and 6.
No. It was certainly 4, 5, 6. Certainly 4, 5, 6 was the ones where and 5 and 6 were the big ones for Fury.
And then, in a weird way, he almost became overconfident and too comfortable. And those rounds, when Usyk came back in the 7th and 8th and really bit down hard on his gum shield and stuck to his game plan, looking for that left cross still, that very, very effective angular left cross and the left hook, he then changed the course of the fight with that left cross in the 9th round. And even then, and I know we're going to go over and over this, but even then, because we'll talk about the ninth round. I'm going to let you talk about it first of all. Even then, the 10th, 11th, and the 12th were fairly close rounds as well. The judges, by the way, agreed on 8 of the 12 rounds, Addy. I've analysed the scorecards. The judges, all three, agreed on 8 of the 12. There were 4 swing rounds, and 3 of those rounds, or 2 of those rounds, could have gone either way. It was so close that if 1 or 2 of the judges had scored another round to Fury, it would either been a split draw, which I thought it was going to be from way out, remember, and everyone would think that Usyk had won it, but it was a draw, or it would have gone to Fury. That's how close the fight was.
Yeah, let's get to the big round. Look, round 8 was a big round for Usyk. I think that's when he bloodied Tyson Fury's nose. But round 9 is when he obviously landed first that big right hand and then followed it up with the big left, and then Tyson was all over the ring. But the ropes kept him up on several occasions. And I actually don't know how Tyson Fury wasn't knocked out. It goes to show his powers of fitness and recovery, because he was taking some enormous shots, like bang on the chin, like really. And we know how precise Usyk is when he starts to throw. What did you make of the referee jumping in and giving him a standing count? What did you make of all that? Because it wasn't.
For one.
Go on.
No, go on. Finish your question.
No. So when Fury sort of wobbles down, so he's not actually knocked down, is he? He's not on the floor. His gloves didn't touch down, I didn't see. But the referee jumped in and then started counting. It was difficult for me to understand what was going on there.
I think it's those big arms of his.
Did they touch down, yeah?
They didn't touch down, but it was the ropes kept him up. So Mark Nelson, in my view, who didn't know what some, obviously there's conspiracy theories that he was trying to keep Tyson in the fight, which is absolute nonsense. Do you remember on the big screen there was no clock? Do you remember?
So, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. You're right, because I kept on looking at people's TV monitors in front of me to try and find the times,
and you couldn't see it. I don't know if it was on the TV monitors, but certainly looking up, I remember moaning 3 or 4 times that the big screens right above us, 10 meters by 10 meters, didn't have the clock on at any point during the fight, because we would have looked up at that point
and realized how long left in the round. Yeah,
exactly. And there was probably about 18, 20 seconds. Fury slumped into the ropes as if to go down, but the ropes held him up. So there was nothing wrong with Mark Nelson administering a standing count at that point. It's just what a referee. Another referee might have left it go on. Another referee might have stopped the fight, thinking he'd taken too much punishment. Because
do you think there was at any stage he could have stopped it in that 9th?
Yeah, if he'd wanted to, if he'd wanted to stop it. But also, there's the psychological factors in the referee's mind of, this is the undisputed title. He's been down and got up before many times. He looked out, but he was still moving. He was still on
No, you're right. He was trying to evade the shots. I've watched it back. So he's still
I've
trying
watched
to
it 100 times.
I swear to God, I just said this. I've watched round 9 about 100 times. And he's trying to slip the shot still. So he's still he's aware, but he just can't get Usyk off him.
It would have been a horribly controversial end if he'd been stopped in that 9th round. But because people would have argued the toss about that. If he had stopped it, it is what it is. It always is what it is in boxing. But it was a decent piece of refereeing. And as Nelson proved, the referee proved, and I spoke to Mark Nelson in the morning, and he had blood all over his white shirt with all those the paraphernalia of the governing bodies on, sanctioning bodies. And I didn't question him at the time. I just said, well, that's a shirt you won't take off in a hurry with the blood on it from the 9th round, from the 8th round. And I think it was a fascinating piece of refereeing, because in the 10th round, Fury seemed to have recovered when he came back. That was what was extraordinary. And I gave Fury the 12th, yeah? And so did 2 of the other judges, I think, from memory. I've got the scorecards up there. Either 1 or 2 gave him the last round. It was very, very close. There was loads to talk about. And to pitch it forward, the showboating for me cost him in some ways. And I think if they have a second fight, he'll fight it in a different way. And I think he'll be more aggressive. And I think it's more risky for him. And I think Fury is the underdog going into the second fight. And I think there are signs of aging Eddie. And I've never seen him as hurt as that.